Hello viewers, welcome to CodeForAny. If you hear new, hit subscribe buttons and notification bell so you can never miss any our incredible content. Taxi app and backends API inside Node.js Express frameworks inside you need to call this here the basic support modules need to develop. Not provide here the full functionality only for the sending message and receive message for the apps to admin panels and admin panel to apps like the communications with the like same like the chat modules, but we need to not create here the delete functionality, update functionality, and as well as the image functionality not set here. We need to create here the one separate video for the details in the explains the how to create chats modules inside Node.js with the app connectivity. We need to detail in explain inside the next playlist, not including this playlist. First of all, needs here the socket IO. Need to basic details need to give this here. So need to create here the one socket IO controllers. Inside we need to connect with the socket servers and to create socket server inside the app.js, and then we need to give this here the connectivity. First of all, need to use this here the socket related connections. Need to give this here the IO connections. Need to create like this, and then need to give this here the ports. Then after need to create here the view controllers for each loops. We need to calling here and to find out here the controllers and to give this here the access for the socket IO. And then after we need to creating here the another things we need to develop this here, and we need to go inside the socket connections, and to each sockets we need to connect with the server memory inside the specific user ID. We need to give this here the socket client ID. We need to save and to retrieve and to fire here the sockets in specific users. That's we need to this concept need to call this here inside this app node.js inside. We need to calling here the basic structures need to explain and to create here the one API for the connecting with connect users with the specific users. We need to call this here the API. Let's first need to create here the new controllers. We need to develop here the support modules. First of all, we need to write down here the new files, and we need to create here the support controllers. .js like this we need to create, and to this controllers are the real times need to connect with the apps as well as the admin panels with connect with the API and socket IO. Some events we need to calling and receiving we need to get this here. First of all, we need to create here the controllers. We need here some information. So we need to copy this here and to paste inside the this list. Now we need to set this here and appropriate some to create all these here and to over these brackets like this, and also need here the user authentications verifications. We need to needs copy here and need to paste this here. These support modules only the text exchange we need to apps and admin panel with real times. Not included here the image as well as other types file like this, not ending here, only for the text messaging supports we need to create here. And then now we need to create here the API names. We need to write down here the support @connect like this we need to create, and unused codes we need to remove here, no needs like this need to here by this here. And also one more things, public folders inside need to check this here, profiles yes, available here, not an issue. And then after so need to open this here database and to connect with how can connect and how can communications between the two users need to explain one by one. Need to explain here. Now we need to open here the database to explain these tables. If you one user are the senders and one user are the receivers. Sender means the send any message, this is the senders, and behind need to receive which users are received, this is for the receiver ID, and message we need to put inside the sender the this message and to write down here, and receive dates and send dates like this. We need to basic structures are available here, depends here the text and files, but we need to use only the text need to need here. Now need to connect with the first of all we need to need this here the user list, which user are the needs for the supports, and to connect this here so need to give this here the list on last chat. So need to give us inside the here the supports. First of all, so need to go this here and to write down here the support controllers. Need to put here. Need to write down here the calls here the helper dlogs, and to print this here the body. Need to print here like this callings here. Now need to write down here the where request objects and to define here the request body in this object like this sets here. Now need to call this here the helpers and to check this here the authentications not helpers. Need to directly call this here the access token check here and to pass this here the request dot headers, and then after need to pass this here the response object and to call this here the callback events. So need to get this here, and also need to no needs any required types need to checking here because here the admin as well as the user types need to communicate. That's why need to not give this here the specific required types. That's why need to blank these parts. Then after so need to give this here the user object to send users. So need to get this here the id like this calling this here. Now we need to check here the parameters here inside the receive which parameters we need to get this here and to send here. Now we need to call this here the helper check validates and to return this here the response. So calling this here the response object, then request objects. So need to give this here and we need to check this here the parameters. We need to need this here the receiver id pass this receiver id need this here which users need to read this here. Otherwise need to give this here the which users are you need to connect. Need to give this here the id, and to get this user related to connect logins users need to get here the previous chats need to get and to send inside the response like this. Need to this concept are the calling here and to set this here, and also need to pass this here the socket id. Sometimes need to forget and change this socket id, then need to replace with the new socket id. That's why I need to get here the socket id parameters. Need this here, and then after need to get here the callbacks functions, and inside we need to write down here the our connect codes. Need to write down here, and let's start. First of all need to here the sockets id. We need to find out here the specific user socket. Need to get here the socket list and to pass here the double quotes user as, because we need to save this here the before. So need to use this here this id. Need to connect with this here and to give this underscores and to concat with this current user logins id. Need to set this here and to connect and to replace this here user id like this sets here, and to give this here the toString like this, and to get here the current user sockets. And now need to save this here the sockets connect with, and now need to go inside the codes sockets and need to give this here the socket id like this. We need to save inside the sockets id. For new socket id we need to update our memory inside server memory inside. We need to update this here. Every time this socket id change, if you disconnect user apps, then need to create here the new socket id. That's why need here the updates. If you not up to dates, then need to directly updates here the socket id. Now need to call this here the db query and to find out here the previous chats and to keep these users delete records. Need to get first of all which time need to last the clear this support message. Need to like this. We need to identify the last date and times, and after we need to call this here to get this here the select query, and we need to write down here the tables names inside these tables. Need to browse here another tables for the here not creating any tables. We need to create first of all the one tables. Go here and to write down here get tables. We need to get or columns. We need to get here. Now we need to set this here the did and for increments set years. Now need user ID, user ID. This here varchar, not varchar date times return here. Now save tables after creating these tables. Now use copy here and now need to paste this here. The chat deletes from get this here the table data where conditions need to now need to give this here the user ID and what get the connected receive copy here and now need to paste this here long place table name. Place this here. Now need to give this here the created times like this here the message and to this here. After you need to get this here first need to calls against API you need to call this here. First of all you need to here the request object dot user ID and then after request dot and now to object like this you need to set this here and you need to errors and results need to get here like this set and to that level. Now need to check here the if gets any errors in the query then we to helper.dlogs need to throw these errors was this response and this server response like this you need to throw and then after you need to get this here the wheres and to call this here the deleted date times need to set here the specific date time equal to now need to set any date of today I need to set because need to know any get data that's why I need to consider the today. Now need to get this if result length or then we this year at this year now we need to get this here the results object and we need this here the columns names need also need to convert here as and set the helper types. So now create here one functions. Write down here. Now need to pass this. Like this. What formats here. Now we need to create here the converting these dates formats. We need to calling this and we need to pass this and this dates we need to pass this here and pass this like this. We need callings here. Now we need to get this date the MySQL date. Sync this SS like this. We need to pass this and to call this here semicolon. And afterwards we need to on it we need to query select users inside the database users. Now need to write down the user data tables. We need to go this years and to go structures. Now need to need here some informations and to put this here informations. First of all need to need this here the user ID, pass this here and after names here. These user profiles are the fields. That's why I need to give this here the image parameters. Now need to write down here the prompts table user detail table here data. Now need to write down here the where condition equal to question marks like this. That's here. One query are the done here. Now another query for the gets here the previous chats message we need to get inside this all records. Need to first of all need to write down star prompts or star prompt need to specific columns need to this here. First of all need to go this here the support tables chat message tables need to and to structures need to open this here. Now need to get this here the chat ID. Need to need here the select SQL query. Select query need to copy here where conditions cut here. Now need to paste this here like this and also need to give this here the tables alias. We need to hit here the alias because one-to-one chats. That's why I need to also need to set types. We need to provide this. Now need to set this here the where conditions. First of all need to give this here the created dates for this message. Then need to in here get message and condition need to give this here. This is the most important conditions inside this gets here the basic data. Need to write down here the sender ID question mark, and call this here the receiver ID, and need here question mark, call this here or condition this here conditions, but difference cross we need to use this here because both user are the sending message and receiving message. That's why I need to cross conditions need to give this here. Otherwise not retrieve here the 1% gets. That's why need this here. Both condition need to. First one sender is the receiver is the sender. Like this conditions need to apply this here. Now the most important parts of this API and and now need to get here the give this here the parameters value. First of all need to give this here the user ID for the gets here specific user information need to type here, and then after need to give this here the second query results information need to need this here, and now need to give this here the first of all the delete this need to times need to give this here, and to pick this here the first names capitals and key capitals copy here paste this here like this. I need to find here the naming conversions, and now to give this here the receiver user, so need to give here the user ID, then need to pass this here the users login users information, so need to this here u user u objects dot user ID need to pass this here, and again so need to copy this here and to set here the reverse conditions. So need to copy first of all the give this here this value for the this sender ID and this value for the this receiver ID, and now give this here the reverse conditions. First of all need to pass this here the user object user ID, and then after the receiver user ID you need to pass this here like this. Set here this condition and to retrieve here the all chat messages with the both person. First times need to sender is the one user, like this we need to explain here. Need to example need to give this here user a equal like this sends here the hello message, hello, and receive this here the user 2 is this here the receiver equal like this message, this user missed the our user like these conditions. And second one we need to replace this b users for the a users. Need to change this here objects, cut this here, and to test this hence need to replace this here the message like this scenario. Need to first conditions need to get this here the this records only, and second conditions for these conditions need to get this here this records. That's why I need to give this here the or conditions and to get this here the all message. And now need to go this here and to write down here errors and to return here the results. Now need to give this here the errors to write down here the helper dot show errors. That's here this here. Now need to check this here the results. Planned and to now here gets any users, then to send this here the this response. Otherwise no needs here the sending because here the not identify inside this. That's why I need to return here the invalid users. Now need to respond this here. Need to write down here the request dot JSONs, and we need to return this here the response hours. Need to give that here the status is equal to need to write down here the 0 and write down here message. Return this here invalid like this returns here. Now copy here, now paste this here, now need to return this here. Found any data, need to return this here. Payloads, and now the info, this is the user info. Now this chat message is equal to result like this and here's, and this is the support connects API are the done. And next video inside we to see this here the socket connections with to sendings and receive how to can work inside the this Node.js need to explain here. And to clear chats message API we need to develop, and then after the send support message we need to call this here the and to connect with the here two users with the socket connections, and to sending emits the socket specific methods, and to calling this here, and to hybrids methods we need to develop this here. The user can send inside the post method to send here the this user need to send here the message like this, and call this here identify this user the socket ID, and to fire here the emit methods and to send data like this. We need to calling here, and to next video see this here. If you like this video, please give the thumbs up. If you're new user, so please subscribe my channels and press the notification bell icon. You can get every new video notifications and awesome content. If you have any question, so please write down the comment sections. I will help you and sort out your issue. Everyone have a nice day. Goodbye and take care.